Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona then, with quite the advantage going into the second leg in Germany next week. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we? From Spain, Alex Kirkland joins us. Ian Dark as well. We'll be hearing from the boys in a moment.
I'm not scratching my head about this one.
What about if
return leg? You know, Real Madrid yesterday, I was like, well, could they come up with something? I'm not even going to go. This is expected.
Yes. Yeah, but obviously we've seen expected games go differently in the past, but this went pretty much...
In all fairness, you know, saw that chance from Gurasi. He had a couple. Yeah. One much. I mean, he had a sitter that he missed. Was on the volley, and I think he was looking at the goalkeeper. It was right in the middle, so it might have painted a slightly different picture. I don't think it would have affected the result, or indeed who's going to go through. Barcelona are slick. I must also, when we talk about all these attacking players, I'm going to mention in a minute. The goal there, it should have been his goal from young Kubasi before Rafinha nicked it off him. And by the way, it could have been offside. It was close. It was a risk. We keep forgetting he's a teenager as well, and he's done such an amazing job. But the one sort of big takeaway that I'm seeing from this and the whole season and his career, and we talked about him yesterday. Lamine Yamal, we had an interview with him that we ran, and
I'm good friends with him.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm good friends with him after our time together in...
Well, I noticed that, yeah, you were a big part of that conversation. And I don't say this lightly. And I don't. And it's not because of tonight, because, again, some of the things he did tonight was just... I mean, the pass, the toe poke finish, and I don't say this flippantly. At 17 years old, he is, at the moment, the best player in the world. And that's just my opinion, but because, you know, there's other players like Vinicius and Mbappe, and they can all do special things. It just seems, and we watch it every week, that it is every week at the moment. It's almost every game. He's doing something, you go, wow, how's he done? Wow, where's he? Is there no end to this? At 17 years old, you can make an argument he is the best player currently in the world.
And he's doing it with ease. That's the scary part. It doesn't even feel like he's sweating when he's playing. That everybody else is running in circles and kind of trying to figure out what he's going to do, and he's just floating on the field. I wish. There was a question last week as to we would want to be what talent or which one of us.
Which pundit would you want to be?
Which
Xhaka seems to be the majority because of his holidays.
Yes, correct. Well, yes, that would be quite helpful. I would want to be Lamine Yamal for a day.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being Lamine Yamal for a day.
Yes. All I'm saying is, I would want to see how is it that he's seeing the field. How is it that he feels the game? How is it that it is for him to step on the field when everybody's looking at him? He knows that everybody's looking at him, and yet it's just, I'm over here just playing with my friends. I'm just passing the ball. And you're coming to defend me? Yeah, I don't even see you. You're not even there. I'm seeing a completely different picture. I'm seeing a completely different pass. And to your point, Craig, while I think that right now he is the best player in the world and people talk about a potential Ballon d'Or winner, I hope that he's not punished by those who actually vote for this and say, well, he's only 17. That elevates his profile, if indeed this is an important conversation to be having at this moment. He is the best player. He should be the Ballon d'Or winner. And when you watch the performances, what's even more impressive than anything else, as I just mentioned, is that he's making it look so easy. And it shouldn't be. It's quarterfinals of Champions League. And yet for him, he just feels like he's in the backyard playing with his friends.
Well, he said yesterday in the interview, didn't he? It was like, just like I'm playing the video game.
Yeah.
You know,
well, he's seeing, it's not just his end product, he's seeing things. He's seeing the pass. He's seeing things. And I played with players that saw things before everybody else. And you'd be on the field and go, how do you see that? And it's just something that comes natural. And I know we're going to get to PSG at some point, and they also have players who are playing damn well. And Dembele, Kvaratskhelia was excellent tonight. So there are other players out there that are doing marvellous things. But I think for consistency over the last 18 months, as a 16-17-year-old, he's at the moment, he is a tough one to beat.
It's great, isn't it? Just as a football fan, it's great to see, Ian.
Fantastic to see. I mean, yeah, he could win the Ballon d'Or, couldn't he? Be the youngest ever winner. I mean, you think back to 17-year-olds, you probably got to go back to Pele, you know, as part of the Brazil team that won the 1958 World Cup as a 17-year-old sensation. He's wonderful. Barcelona have scored now, I think, 4 goals in a game in half of their last 10 matches. They're just a goal machine, and they've got this tie won already. They're going to go through. I think their problem will be that they're going to bump into Inter next.
Yeah, indeed. Bayern fans will have something to say to you about that, Ian, but indeed, that's a conversation for another day. Alex, looking at it...
Your anti-German ways.
How dare you?
Alex, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we didn't really see this coming at the start of the season. This run, this performance, this team to come together so quickly and be in contention for all these big trophies.
Yeah, the transformation under Flick has been remarkable, but consistently now for pretty much the entire season. Yes, they had that dip before Christmas, but pretty much the whole season, they've got the best team in Spain and the best team in Europe, and they did it again tonight. You talk about Lamine Yamal. It said a lot, actually, that Lamine Yamal probably was the most eye-catching player in a game in which Lewandowski scored twice, Rafinha scored and provided 2 assists. I mean, that front three, these are... They're record-breaking numbers. I think it's 144 goals the team have scored this season. Rafinha has scored 12 Champions League goals, top scorer in the competition. Only Messi has scored more goals in a season for Barcelona in the Champions League. Lewandowski, we're looking at a 40-goal season now at 36. And like you say, Lamine Yamal looks like the best player in the world. It's sensational. And yeah, you know, some people you might prefer Liverpool, you might prefer PSG, but certainly those of us that watch Barca a lot as we do, they look to me like the best team in Europe. And once again, an incredible all-round performance tonight. And I was listening to Hansi Flick and Rafinha talking on Spanish TV after the game. Neither of them would accept that it's done. And you'll never hear a manager or a player saying it's done after the first leg, because they know that it might come back to bite them. But this is as close to done, I think, as it's possible to be.
I mean, if they were to do that to Inter, presuming...
Yeah, but Inter will be a different animal.
Presuming it's Inter that goes through, and I agree, I think most of us agree, it's looking likely, particularly with the 2-1 win at the taking the result to the San Siro and Bayern's injury problems and their defensive issues. If they were to do this to Inter, that's a different statement, because they are, you could argue, they're the most organised team in European football, with the back three and the wing backs and all that goes with it. So that's a different test, but that would be a hell of a statement if they were to rip this Inter, well-drilled Inter defence. Again, we're getting further down the line because they're not through yet, but it looks like that could be the matchup, and what a matchup. It's a completely contrasting styles and different things to figure out, but that would be a great semi-final.
Looking at Dortmund, could they have done anything different?
Let me answer this. I have very good German.
Yes. Is it going to...
9?
No.
You like reading, don't you?
Yes.
All right.
No surprise.
Yeah, yes.
People sort of...
Kids' magazines.
Yeah, you like, no, but you're a reader. You're a readable.
Yeah, yes.
There's a famous writer, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Colombian writer, who has one of his best novels is Chronicle of a Death Foretold. This is exactly what happened here. We already knew this was going to happen. The matchup never, ever appealed to Borussia Dortmund, because all the things that they like to do and that they seem to, when they play well, they seem to do certain things at a certain level. Barcelona, they do those same things at a much higher level, exponentially higher level. So they're an open team that likes to attack, that likes to get in transition. Well, that's exactly what Barcelona likes to do as well. Borussia Dortmund likes to control the ball through the midfield. You know who else likes to do that? Barcelona, and they do exponentially better than Borussia Dortmund. This matchup never fit Borussia Dortmund. They would have enjoyed and liked playing anybody else left in this competition other than Barcelona, because the matchup just didn't make sense to them. It was never going to work. It was never going to be a situation in which Borussia Dortmund were really going to test Barcelona, because in the things that they do well, as I said before, Barcelona, they do not just better, but exponentially better. And the best players of Barcelona, as compared to the best players of Borussia Dortmund, there is a large gap.
The only small thing that could have been different for them tonight, Borussia Dortmund that is taking the couple of good chances that came their way in the first half and one or two that they managed to create in the second half, Aaron Araujo with the block and
the late ones.
The late ones, that when the game looked already dead, the only way that they were going to give themselves a sniff in the second leg was to take a couple of those chances that fell their way, to give themselves the merest and smallest of chance. They didn't do that tonight. We know they can't defend. We know they're not very good defensively. It's in their DNA. It's why they're sitting where they're sitting in the Bundesliga. But if they'd given themselves a couple of goals, at least there would have been a small chance. That was the only thing they had going for them tonight. And unfortunately, they were not good enough in that department either.
And while that is a fair point, you can also say, well, Barcelona had taken all of their chances or most of their chances, then we're talking about completely blowout. I just think there is too much of a talent gap between these two teams and the absences of a guy like Nico Schlotterbeck, who's not a world-class defender, but is much better than the options that they have available. His absence, obviously, is a problem for Borussia Dortmund. The absence of Pascal Gross in the midfield. That is not a world-class player in the midfield, but is better than the options they had available. Those things played against Borussia Dortmund. But even if those guys had been on the field, look, Borussia Dortmund have been terrible in Bundesliga. Yep. They barely just got onto the top half of Bundesliga by beating Freiburg this past weekend 4-1. And everybody in Bundesliga, who covers Bundesliga, is telling us, oh, here comes Borussia Dortmund. They're a different animal in Champions League. No, you ran into a bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, more talented animal in Barcelona. Goodbye.
Ian, you've got Barcelona, who are favourites to win the Champions League, favourites to win the Copa del Rey, and favourites to win La Liga.
Well, they could do a quadruple, couldn't they? Because they've won the Spanish Super Cup already, knocking 5 goals past Real Madrid. So you wonder where this amazing Barcelona story is going to end under Hansi Flick this season. Because I think a lot of us had kind of said, well, they're a club with a lot of problems, you know, financial problems that we all know about and have been well documented on this programme and many others as well. So to be doing what they're doing is quite incredible, really, and you do wonder where the story ends. I wouldn't make them favourites. That's the bookmakers. I wouldn't be taking 2-1 Barcelona. I think Inter are probably the team to beat of those.
Oh, wow, Ian.
Well, I do. I've seen Inter a few times. They're very impressive. They've got huge European nous, and they've added a bit of flair to it as well. So I'd say they are very dangerous and will be dangerous to Barcelona as well, and might be the first team, really, this season to work out a way of stopping them.
One last thing, what's impressive with this as well, Alex, is that they're doing it at home at a rubbish stadium.
Yeah, you almost forget, don't you? You get used to it. You completely forget about the fact, I do, that they're not at Camp Nou. They're at Montjuic, which is a smaller stadium, much worse atmosphere. The fans don't like it, but it hasn't held them back at all. At all. I mean, I wouldn't say it's been liberating. Maybe there's a little bit of that, because of course when you play at Camp Nou, yes, you've got the noise of the fans, but you've got the pressure of the fans as well. But they have it's a significant handicap, I think, for any team to be playing away from their home stadium for a significant period of time. It's a time that's been getting longer as well, because they were supposed to be back at Camp Nou. The original plan was to be back at Camp Nou almost at this stage of the season. That hasn't happened. And yet, like I say, they've made it look so straightforward playing away from home that you don't even think about it anymore.
Weren't they using it as an excuse last year? I'm being serious. Wasn't there some rumblings last year when Xavi was struggling and the players were struggling about the atmosphere? It's amazing how players, and they'll just turn things for their own advantage.
Of course.
You know, the atmosphere's not very good, the stadium's not always full, all those sort of scenarios, which are probably true, but you never mention it when you're playing like this. You just sort of forget about it. You're in a zone and, you know, you're not using it as an excuse. You're focused on what you're doing. It just seemed last year they were kind of, with all the problems and, you know, discontent, shall we say, that seemed to be in that Barcelona camp that sort of reared its head midway through the season. This stadium, this crowd, this atmosphere was one of them. We're not hearing a dicky bird about that because they're playing well, and the crowd are getting behind them. So it's amazing psyche that a player has when things are going well and things are not going well.
For Barcelona, of course, they have a chance to extend their lead at the top of La Liga table as they play before Real Madrid at this weekend. They're away against Leganés, and then it's Real Madrid away against Alaves. Well, let's welcome in, shall we, Frank Leboeuf, who's hot-footed it from the stadium to join us to reflect on this. Frank, another very impressive night in Europe for PSG.
Indeed, Dan, that was very impressive, but it's also impressive because Aston Villa didn't play, and as we normally say, it takes 2 to tango. So it was hard to find solutions for Paris Saint-Germain because Definitely Aston Villa parked the bus, especially the second half. There were no spaces for the Paris Saint-Germain players, but they were very patient. They calculated all action that they wanted to do, and because of the talent of some players, they made the difference, but nothing to complain about. I mean, the third goal was just a relief for everybody because it allows them to go to Villa and to be a little bit more confident about what they can achieve. But you know, when I see Désiré Doué, when I see Ousmane Dembélé, but also Vitinha, Neves, the future is really bright for Paris Saint-Germain. They have so much qualities. I'm a little bit conservative about the defense with Berardo and Pacho. I wasn't very sure. It's nice that Marquinhos can come back very soon, but otherwise, nothing to complain about. Everybody was spot on.
You can't expect Aston Villa, Frank, to go to Paris, to this PSG side, and go toe-to-toe with them. They're not at that level, and certainly not when PSG are in the kind of form that they are. We saw what they did to Liverpool. There's only one way Villa could have approached that game, and that's exactly what they did, and they almost got out with a 2-1, which would have been a great result for them.
That's true, you're right, you're absolutely right. Maybe they didn't have any choice, and they had only one chance to score, and they did. But you know, at some point, sometimes I say, well, they would have played a little further. They would have played a little bit further up on the field. Maybe they would have a chance to counter-attack a little bit more. But it was clear for me that, as you said, even losing 1-0 or 2-1 was perfect for them. But for me, they're going to be more danger at home because they're going to open up. And with players like Doué, Ousmane Dembélé as well, and Barcola, that's going to be terrible for them because they're going to open spaces and they're going to be punished for me.
It's always been the case with this game. And Unai Emery's been brilliant, as is Luis Enrique. But there are levels in this game that teams can reach. And Villa's is here, and PSG's is up here.
It's the same conversation with Dortmund and Barcelona and the person.
There are just levels. And sometimes we see results when the levels sort of balance themselves out by a bad performance or some special goals. These things can happen. But when teams reach I wouldn't say PSG were at the level they were against Liverpool, but they were still very, very good. Still very good. I mean, Liverpool were a tougher nut to crack, and they made that look easy for the most part, even though they lost in Paris. I mean, it was an anomaly, that game. And the problem is, if PSG don't drop those levels for the second leg, it's very difficult to see how, A, Villa get back in it, and B, how they keep a clean sheet. When you see this attacking talent they have, when you see how tidy they are in the middle of the park, yeah, maybe defensively they'll give you a couple of chances, but when you see how they control games in the middle of the park with the Neveses and the Vitinho, and then you've got Zaire Emery coming on, you've got Doué, Dembélé and Kvaratskhelia, just absolutely brilliant. It's only pointing one thing, that it's going to be another tough night at Villa Park. Yeah, they've got a small chance, but this PSG side they're potentially good enough to... I mean, the start of the Champions League in this 36-team group, they were bang average. Mm-hmm. But they have timed their form absolutely perfect.
I liked it when you did 36-team group. You just kind of did a...
I look at all the teams.
You did like this is a signal. What's interesting, the best thing for PSG was Neymar, Messi and Mbappe leaving.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. And it would seem counterproductive, but yes, absolutely that's the case. And Frank just mentioned there that the future is bright for PSG. The future is now for PSG. Never mind the future. Their present is bright. This is a team that has all the makings of a group that can win this competition because, first and foremost, they are a team. The collective of PSG is very strong. And what makes a team a great team? The fact that the collective is very strong, but the individual talent is also very strong. So when you need somebody to give you a play, to give you something magical, to give you something different, you got a guy like Kvaratskhelia who can take the 1v1 situation in the manner in which he did and gives you the lead in a game. That wasn't a team goal per se. It's a guy who gets himself in a 1v1 and is good enough to make the defender look silly and finish from a tight angle. So you have the collective work that Craig was just talking about and all the players that get involved in the midfield and all the talent that they have in the attacking half. And then you have the individual players. So it's Kvaratskhelia or it's Dembele or whoever it may be, or Doué that can score in the manner in which he did today. That's what elevates PSG. First and foremost, the collective is so very strong, so disciplined in what they do, and very good in understanding what each of the players' role is on the field, and that was on full display today. The fact that you have Nuno Mendes scoring the third goal in the manner in which he did, you would think, well, what's the left back doing there so late in the match? Well, Dembele had put himself in a playmaking position. Somebody had to occupy the space going forward, and Nuno Mendes was the closest one. So it's not even a question of I'm dropping back. No, I'm going to go and run in between the lines, and maybe I get a ball. And he did and was able to finish it. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because the team knows exactly who they are and who they want to be on the field. PSG are scary good.
You mentioned Neymar, the circus. It was the circus.
Yes, it was.
Neymar, Mbappe, Messi. It was the circus. Every week we'll be talking about different things. But I dare say you could lob, when the players left, you can also lob Pochettino in there as well. Even though he had stuff to deal with, I don't think they are playing in this manner this good with him in charge. I think Luis Enrique has done such a good job. He's been very strong since he's gone in there, in terms of what he wants. I don't want this shenanigans, I don't want this, I want this player, that player. This is what I want to do. I don't think they're in this position, even though those big superstars go, I don't think they're in this position with Pochettino. Not that he's a bad manager. At the moment, maybe some Americans would disagree. But I think the job Luis Enrique has done thus far is right up there.
And the thing is, Ian, they're doing it like Barcelona in an entertaining way. As a fan, that's what you want to see.
I think they're fantastic to watch. That home leg against Liverpool, which they somehow lost. I still don't know how they lost that game on that night, because they were absolutely brilliant. Yeah, they're wonderful to watch. They're very, very intense as well. The midfield players, like Vitinha and Neves, the work that they get through, even right up to the last minute of the game, they want the ball, they want to dictate the game, and they're going to take a lot of stopping. And the guys are right about the job Luis Enrique has done. I mean, I covered that game, the remontada game, and that kind of summed up Paris Saint-Germain, in the Champions League. They'd find a way to lose, even when they had a 4-0 lead from the first leg. They go to Barcelona and lose 6-1, and Unai Emery was the guy in charge of Paris Saint-Germain then. And you just thought, well, there's a psychological block going on here about this team in the Champions League. I think that's gone now. They're a real team. They're a band of brothers as well. Luis Enrique has done that, and they're mighty dangerous.
Talk to me about Doué, Frank. It's obviously been a breakout season for him. Has this surprised PSG, or did they see it coming?
Well, he was already showing some interesting stuff when he was speaking for Rennes, but for the past, 4 or 5 months, that's a different players. We can feel, you were talking, I was listening when you talked about Lamine Yamal. That's the same feeling that I have. The guy has maturity, no fears whatsoever, feels good on the pitch, wants to be there and wants to enjoy it. And he tries crazy stuff, and because he's so confident about his capability of doing stuff, he does them very well. And sky's the limit for that guy too. And if he keeps his head on his shoulder, he's going to go far. He has the talent of Lamine Yamal. Of course, he didn't have the chance to go that far yet, because he was just born, I would say, 4 or 5 months ago. But that's going to be very interesting to follow him. And if he keeps like that for France, for, of course, Paris Saint-Germain, it's going to be a fantastic plus.
Frank, you mentioned it. Obviously, when we saw the big table in the group stage...
You're not selling it.
PSG was struggling. They had to get results, or it looked like they were going to get out. What's changed?
Well, I guess suddenly it clicked to the players that they were really a team, and they had to trust themselves and all of the team about what they were capable of doing. And that's what Luis Enrique was able to achieve. That's his main achievement, I would say, in a way that he made the player trusting that they were capable of reaching the top of the top. And it took the same time I was talking about Doué or also Ousmane Dembele. Like 4 or 5 months ago, those players suddenly all together reacted and started to be different players. You have to add Neves, Vitinha, of course, Barcola, but also some other players, Kvaratskhelia as well. That's amazing how suddenly all together they decided to work, and it matched, and they are doing stuff like we never expected them to do, and they are one of the best teams in Europe right now. And I'm sorry, yeah, you put Barcelona favorites, but it's going to be hard to find the favorites in the semi-final because, Dan did, but some people said, but when you put Arsenal, you cannot deny Arsenal can be one of the favorites. You can say Paris Saint-Germain, Inter Milan can be the favorites. Of course, Barcelona can be a favorite, but what the semi-final we're going to face, that's going to be amazing.
Well, PSG obviously will face either Real Madrid or Arsenal in the semi-final. We could have a final with PSG against Barcelona.
Just blame ESPN Bet.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting the blame for having Barcelona as favourites.
We don't crunch the numbers.
I think it was Dan.
I'm up all night doing the algorithm. I'd be much richer if I was. Ian, looking at Aston Villa, what percentage chance are we giving them going into the second leg?
I think very small, to be honest with you, because Paris Saint-Germain are such a good team. They showed it when they went to Anfield, didn't they, in the second leg and turned the tie around, having lost that mysterious first leg by a goal to nil. Okay, it had to go to the wire in the end. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. And Aston Villa are on a big winning streak at home, but they're not playing teams as good as Paris Saint-Germain. So I would expect Paris Saint-Germain to be just a bit good. I think Villa are in a little too deep, as well as they've done in this competition.
Anything else to add? Anyone?
What, do you want to do the table?
No, we're good. Okay,
10%.
Lovely. Here are the bookies, not me. Arsenal are 10-1 on to make it through to the next round. Real Madrid 21-4. So basically, you're looking at 5-1 for Real Madrid to turn it all around after that 3-0 defeat in North London. Obliging, like, we need another miracle.
Yeah, obligated.
Yes. Humiliated.
Yes.
Yep. Madrid, it's not impossible.
No. Well, yes, for Madrid, there are no impossibles.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think I still get a pass on that.
Yes, fairly.
Alex returns with us. Ian and Frank are with us. Alex, I can only imagine what the post-mortem has been like on what we saw, particularly in the second half yesterday.
Yeah, it's been pretty hysterical, but rightly so. I mean, it was surreal, especially that second half. And the biggest thing for me was just the lack of reaction from Real Madrid. That's what got a lot of the fans here really angry, I think, because we've seen this from Real Madrid before. We've seen them switch off. We've seen them not get going, but there tends to be a reaction, and there just wasn't one last night. Now, will that reaction belatedly come in the second leg? Probably there'll be some kind of reaction. You think there'll be some kind of reaction from Madrid in the second leg. Will it be enough? Well, they left themselves a mountain to climb. And the other thing that was really disappointing, I think, apart from that lack of reaction, was the fact that in the first half, they did have one or two opportunities to really get at Arsenal. They created dangerous situations. Think about Mbappe being in behind after half an hour, one-on-one with Raya, and he fluffed his shot, and it was taken. Vinicius once or twice got on the ball, and it wasn't there. So I think there were just enough signs in that first half that they can and they could cause real problems for loads of big comebacks at the Bernabeu before, but never a comeback as big as the one that would be required here, because losing the first leg 3-0, it's not like in 2022 when they lost the first leg 1-0 to PSG and turned it around, or when they lost the first leg 4-3 to Man City and turned it around. This is overturning a 3-0 deficit, and that's different.
Alex, this whole season could go crumbling apart very, very quickly for Madrid. Obviously, they lost against Valencia. Barcelona very much with the initiative in La Liga. Copa del Rey final against a Barca side that's already thrashed you twice. It could be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, they've been living dangerously all season, Dan, but what tends to happen in a lot of these games, and a lot of the league games in particular, even in the Champions League, is that they've got these players of such quality that they can get themselves out of trouble, even when they're not playing particularly well. But when you get to the crunch end of the season against the best teams, or against very good teams in the Champions League, that's not as straightforward. It's less likely you're going to get yourself into trouble. So yes, I think we could sort of see this coming. Yes, I agree. it has started to fall apart quickly, given that you've got the Valencia loss in the league. You've got this. I mean, let's see what happens in the Copa del Rey final. We know that for Real Madrid, even if they win the Copa del Rey, but they've sort of blown it in the league and the Champions League, it's sort of not enough as far as Real Madrid are concerned. I mean, but that's not a given because look what happened in the two Clásicos so far this season. So, yeah, it has started to fall apart seemingly quickly. It hasn't fallen apart yet because they are still in the title race. They are still in the Copa del Rey final, and they're not out of the Champions League yet, even though they put themselves in a very difficult situation. But like I say, the warning signs have been there all season. Normally with Real Madrid, by this stage of the season, they get it together. They get it right. They find a way. But this time, so far at least, they haven't.
It's why you sign the big players, isn't it? It's why you sign the Mbappes to take the big moments, which he scored a lot of goals in the Liga, but has he really grasped the big moments in the big games? I think there's a big question mark about that. Again, a couple of chances in this game yesterday, didn't do particularly well. I mean, Vinicius, the whole front line, I mean the whole team, but I'm picking out a superstar here.
Yes.
It's why you sign them, to make the difference. Second leg, the only question I have about the second leg is, no, I'm being serious.
He was going on about it today as well when he came in. He was scratching his head
No,
again.
but listen.
Struggling with this.
The only question I have about the second leg is if they do something special in the first 10 or 15 minutes and they get the crowd roaring behind them and they get that momentum and they take the lead and before you know it, they're only needing 2 goals and they've got that confidence and that momentum. Can they keep a clean sheet at the other end? That is a humongous question. I don't know. I just don't know. Right? Is Declan Rice likely to score 2 free kicks like that? No. So there are some pictures you can paint as to how it could be a little bit more of a difficult night for Arsenal. Not necessarily going out. Obviously, they're clear favourites. I'm just saying, if a big early start happens for Manchester City, for Real Madrid, and the Bernabeu crowd get behind them, it might be a slightly more interesting evening than a lot of people think. If they don't get off to that start, and Arsenal can sort of quash that, then there's no way back for them. So they need to find something special, clearly. And that's why you have the big superstars, and that's why you pay the big money, and that's why you sign the Kylian Mbappes. Let's see what happens.
You just mentioned Kylian Mbappe, the big superstar. Here's what I know. He left PSG. PSG is a better team. He came to Real Madrid, and they're a worse team than they were when he wasn't there. Now, is that a coincidence? Wow. I do not know, but that's the way it's played out. There are more issues to Real Madrid than the presence or absence of Kylian Mbappe, and I recognize that. But I can tell you, PSG is a better team. They look like a team. They look like they know what they're doing together, whereas Real Madrid, you cannot say the same thing. And one of the common denominators is Kylian Mbappe is not a PSG, he's now a Real Madrid. It's unfair maybe to say that, but the truth of the matter is he's the superstar and he has changed the dynamics at Real Madrid.
Ali blaming the French. Frank.
That's very nuts. It's not nice. You know what I think, Dan? You know what? Ali is absolutely right. The thing is, it's very hard to play with a superstar unless the superstar does the difference. You know, when Ronaldo was playing for Real Madrid, he wasn't defending, he wasn't running back. But every time he had the ball, he was doing something different. Messi at Barcelona never defended, but when he had the ball, he was doing something different and he was scoring goals, and they both were scoring goals. Yesterday, Mbappe, we could have said anything. If in the one chance he had, he would have scored, it would have been 1-0 for Real Madrid. We would have a different explanations about his behavior and the way that he expressed himself on the field. Same thing for Vinicius Junior. He's always the same prime. It's what we were talking about superstar at Paris Saint-Germain before with Messi, Neymar and Mbappe. If they don't make a difference, they're going to be criticized because we cut the team in half and therefore it's not a team anymore. This season, we have a team in Paris Saint-Germain because everybody does the job, and on top of it, they score goals when they need that. I saw Ousmane Dembélé running back, getting the ball back. That's the difference. But again, it's hard to play with a superstar, especially when they play at front, because we all know they're not going to run back like Mbappe, like Vinicius Junior nowadays. But if they don't score on top of it, they're going to be criticized big time, like Ali just did.
Yeah, well, he had a conundrum. Yes, he had several conundrums, Ancelotti, because of the injuries and suspensions. And we discussed it yesterday a little bit. One of them was Fede Valverde, who he eventually put to right back, which he's done before this season. But you cannot take, and I think he'll be understanding that now, you cannot take his energy, his drive, his legs, his dynamism. He's arguably the most dynamic, quickest box-to-box midfielder that plays the game. He can run like nobody's business, and he's a great striker of the ball, and he can score goals. But you can't take that work rate, energy and legs out of the middle of the park when you have Luka Modric in there. And you've only got Luka Modric and Camavinga. And Arsenal have 3. We touched on this yesterday. You need the extra body in there. And you need somebody that can do the running of a player that can't do it anymore. And Luka Modric. Because you've got Bellingham and Rodrigo who are dealing with the wide guys. I talked about it yesterday. They try to tuck in to help the midfield, but then you've got Saka and Martinelli running at the fullback, so they have a job to do in that scenario. And taking Fede Valverde out of that midfield, and I know he was hamstrung by who he had available, really left him exposed, and I mean really, in the middle of the park, where Arsenal, you could argue, is one of their strongest areas. Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard. And if you don't have a semblance of control in the middle, you're going to struggle. And that was a big part of the issue for Ancelotti. Again, he didn't have the biggest squad to pick from, so he did have these conundrums to deal with. But quite frankly, he got it wrong.
Ian, your thoughts?
Well, I've covered Real Madrid a lot this season, and we discussed it in the build of this game. They've been a shambles in a few games. They were, in that game, the 4-4 draw with Real Sociedad in the Copa del Rey. And there's a little bit of a feeling, I was thinking today, if you keep on walking along the edge of the cliff, pretty soon you're going to fall down into the rocks. And I think that's what happened to them last night. It was a pretty dreadful performance, really. Okay, I think one thing we need to add here, we've been talking a lot about Real Madrid. Arsenal were fantastic on the night. It was a great performance, I thought, one of the best in the Gunners' history. But going back to Real, yeah, Craig's right. I could see a scenario where they're on fire, Mbappe and Rodrigo and Vinicius and Bellingham, and they go 2 goals up in half an hour. Then you've got a completely different dynamic going on. But I'm a geeky commentator, so I'll give you a couple of stats. Arsenal conceded 3 goals in any match that they played this season, and Real Madrid have conceded a goal in 12 of their last 13 home games. So Arsenal could nick one, and then Real Madrid are going to need 5.
And then, even if they go through, you've got to then face PSG, and then goodness knows in the final as well. Alex?
Oh, negative.
I'm just saying, and I'm leading into a very negative question now.
Here we go.
Is Ancelotti a dead man walking yet?
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It will be defined, as always, by the trophies or lack of trophies, and major trophies they have to be at the end of the season. So let's see if they are indeed knocked out of the Champions League at this stage. That will be viewed as not being good enough. In the Champions League, Real Madrid have to make the semi-finals minimum. A quarter-final exit is not good enough for the Kings of Europe. Let's see what happens in the Copa del Rey final. But like I say, winning the Copa del Rey on its own isn't enough, wouldn't be enough to save Ancelotti's job. And let's see what happens in La Liga, where they're second, trailing Barcelona, still a Clásico to come in the league in May. So as always, his future will be defined by the trophies. But I mean, the performance last night does him no favours. Ancelotti talked before the game in the presser. He was asked about, confidence in him, and he said the man who really counts, i.e., Florentino Perez, hasn't got tired of me yet. Well, Florentino Perez doesn't have patience for performances and results like last night, so that might start to change.
Alex, thank you. You were at the game, Alex, for us. I hope you were very objective, given your Arsenal ways.
I felt like I was dreaming, honestly, Dan. It felt like a dream. In fact, I still think it might have been.
Oh, dear, that's not a curry any favour with any Real Madrid fan. Dear me.
Where's the objectivity?
Alex, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Just a reminder that... what are we doing now? Where are we going now?
I don't know.
I've lost my face.
Kai Havertz discussion?
Inter Bayern's another game that happened. Inter are favourites to go through. They are 2-1 up on aggregate. The reason we're showing you that is it's a nice segue into the Klassiker. Bayern Munich against Borussia Dortmund this weekend. Coverage begins at 11:30 Eastern, an hour-long preview ahead of the big game in Germany. Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Obviously, we've got Craig and Ali here in the studio. Ian's with us as well, way past his bedtime. Frank joins us. Frank, did you get the moped from the stadium? You obviously were at the game tonight.
I went to the game. It was very interesting. I saw Prince William being very happy when Villa scored, and everybody was looking at him like, oh, that's not the way you should behave. And when the Paris Saint-Germain scored the goal, all the head turned to him to tease him. That was quite embarrassing. You know, I felt some
Why is
sympathy
he not allowed
for
to
the
behave
Prince,
like that? He's a Villa
William.
fan, Frank. He can behave like that, can't he,
but
surely?
he's a future king of England. He has to behave, you know. He has to be diplomatic a little bit more, you know.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I don't care. That was very nice. It was in a presidential suite, so you have to chill out, you know, a little bit. But whatever. But I was pleased to see Luis. Yes, my dear Luis. Yeah. And I was next to Ali Benabia, the fantastic former player from Monaco, Manchester City. And I was with DJ Snake. That was great. DJ Snake, the fantastic friend DJ.
Hey,
and
he only asked
that was
you.
great. That was great.
Who is DJ Snake?
Listen,
Yeah, I love DJ Snake. You don't know DJ Snake. You know nothing.
Ian's a big fan. Look at
Craig
him.
Bradley,
He's jealous.
Ali Mo-
I haven't got a clue.
Oh my God.
Listen, he asked you. He asked you, right? How did you get back from the game in your moped? You've not even mentioned moped. You just told me who you've seen. You've seen him. You've seen Prince William. You met him. Did you? I don't care.
It's not important how I came by. I came by with my scooter at the end of the story. Oh,
That's what you asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about DJ Snake?
The great thing was, we were like, do you think we're going to see Frank in the crowd? And Craig goes, he'll be the one with the World Cup trophy on his head.
Over here. Get the cameras on me. Hey, everybody else was on camera.
You know what?
Yeah.
I tried to see Julian Lawrence. I couldn't see him, and but I saw Peter Schmeichel. Peter was very happy to see me because you remember that I said that Denmark was about to win. Oh, come on, Craig, take it easy. Breathe a little bit. You know, breathe a little bit.
Oh well, I met him and I
We
met
talked
him.
enough about football.
There you are. That's nice.
Okay, I don't
That's
talk
good.
anymore.
Ian,
Okay,
who did you?
go ahead? Ask your stupid question. Ask Craig to answer to all of them, and that's going to be very fun.
I met Michael and I met DJ.
Ian, did you meet anyone tonight?
DJ Snake.
People
I tried to bump
People
into
want to be entertained, Mr. Burley. People want to be entertained. They don't want to be bored.
Oh,
Come
well,
on.
we're getting bored. We're listening to you prattling on about other people you met tonight.
Oh, dear. Ian, I'm sorry, you're rudely interrupted.
No, I was just saying, I was trying to hold a DJ Snake. He wasn't answering his phone. He was with
Okay.
he was with
I
Frank.
got to go. Bye-bye.
Here's a question for you.
Yes.
Right, I get Frank was at the game.
Yes.
And Prince William's an Aston Villa fan.
Yes.
And all the other sort of hangers-on. What's Garcia doing at the game?
It's got to be corporate. Something corporate.
Absolutely sort all to do with PSG.
You know, Luis, he's got his fingers in so many
What's he
different
doing now?
pies. It'd be something.
It's funny
Yeah,
because he put some pictures on Instagram about him visiting the Paris Saint-Germain facilities, the training ground and everything. So I don't know what he was doing in Paris as well. I don't know.
Well.
It's about
I didn't
that.
ask him.
Right, okay, let's get on to crashes. Craig, what's your favourite DJ Snakes? No. Craig, you said yesterday you can't rule Madrid out given their past history in the Champions League. PSG, on the other hand, have had famous collapses. Are you confident that they'll move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
PSG?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they're just a little, I was going to say level, they're a level or two above what Villa can do. The way they can manipulate the ball and score a goal, yeah. It would be a huge shock to me if Paris Saint-Germain were not in the semi-finals and even all the way to the final. That's how good they've been since Christmas.
Does Arsenal destroying Madrid go against Dan's narrative that the Premier League has been poor quality this year? Well, let's not forget Real Madrid have lost to the likes of Milan, haven't they? They lost to Valencia at the weekend, so it's not quite the same sort of thing you can hang your hat on.
This is not a typical Arsenal performance of late.
No.
You know, drawing it
and it's not. You're not taking on a typical Real Madrid team of late.
doesn't alter it.
No.
Answer it.
Fun?
Answer it.
Oh, I think I just did.
All right.
No.
Okay.
Are Barca actually a strong team, or have they just played easy teams? Ian, what do you think?
I think they're a strong team. They've had the problem, haven't they, this season with the high line at the back, but I think they've even tweaked that a little bit and they're playing just a little deeper and not quite such a soft touch. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. You only have to look at tonight's game. They're strong, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you watch Barcelona play right now and you're just saying they're getting this results because they're just playing against easy teams, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, get them on the show. For Ian,
Yeah.
who will get to the Premier League first? Pompey, Birmingham, or Wrexham?
Ooh, there's a good question. Well,
That's a very interesting question.
You've got the budget.
Oi, don't be sarcastic. Shut up, you.
Oh, I met Prince William. Oh, God. DJ Snake.
Oh, dear.
If I was
Sorry, Ian.
That's
Can we just lower the Frenchman's mic?
Birmingham.
Birmingham? Thank
Yeah.
you, Ian, for taking it seriously.
Well, Birmingham, they just got promoted, didn't they? They were guaranteed.
They're up.
Are Wrexham up?
Almost. They're almost up.
Not quite there.
I think it's 2 or 3 more games to go. They're worried about Wickham and Stockport. Hey.
I mean, that's unbelievable, though, isn't it? Well, it's not.
Well, what a romantic story, eh? Out of nothing. Billionaires come in, bankroll your club.
I mean, how have they done it?
I don't know. It's incredible.
No, but, you know, it's still a good...
There we go.
And people say that you don't prepare for the show. The whole Wickham and Stockport.
I know.
Facts.
Exactly. I don't know how to pronounce whoever that was. Someone there.
Romulo.
Okay, start, drop, bench, or sell.
Okay.
Mbappe, Rafinha, Vinicius, Dembele.
Start, drop, bench. What is the difference between drop and bench?
Drop, that you just drop them for a game. Bench, they're going to go and train with the under-19s.
Is this on current form? Is this?
You can take this.
Bench is on the bench.
Yes, I know, but
And
it's
drop,
the same as
drop. No, it's not. Drop is drop. You're out.
No, it's not. If
We're going to really have a debate about bench and drop.
we could have moved on, but you were the one who chirped in.
All right, I want your pen. Prince William.
Here we go. First, second, third, fourth. Let's do it like that.
Okay. I'm gonna still take Mbappe.
Number 1.
Yes. I'm sorry. Did I say something
No,
outrageous?
No, I'm just saying, right?
Okay. I'm gonna take Rafinha, then Dembele, and then Vini.
Wow. Vinny's gone.
It's too much of a headache to carry around.
Well, you know.
Yes.
If a team like Nottingham... It's another interesting question for you, Frank.
Yeah.
Craig.
What?
If a team like
Do you
Nottingham
know who I
Forest...
met? Do you know who I met today?
DJ Snake?
I met absolutely nobody today.
No, you went out for lunch with your daughter. You must have had some sort of social interaction with someone.
I mean, nobody wants to talk to you, Craig. That's the fact.
And by the way, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Right.
Right. If a team like Nottingham Forest is to earn a Champions League spot, what's their best transfer window approach? Do they need to make a couple of big splashes, or should they be focusing more on adding squad depth?
I think it would be folly for not teams like Nottingham Forest to get into the Champions League, and it's looking likely at the moment. It's not done. I think it would be silly, and I don't think they'll do it, to go out and think, right, let's start trying to buy some superstars. They've got to where they've gotten in the league by the teamwork. You know, and a little bit of a couple of special players like Gibbs White and Alanga's pace, and Chris Woods had the season of his life. So I think it's just about adding good, solid professionals to just keep going in the right trajectory.
Who's that saying yet?
Oh, so what do you mean? We know who it is.
That was me, because you know what? I was thinking about Lille last season. We got the Champions League spot and bought serious players, but not crazy stars. And they managed to beat Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and so therefore, you know, they got experiences, but they didn't get crazy. Financially wise, buying stars and everything, they kept the shape of the team, and I think it's what Nottingham Forest has to do next season. If they get crazy, they can pay the price maybe within like 2 or 3 years.
For Ali.
Who's making it boring now?
For Ali, for a young striker, what is the hardest thing to improve on? Positioning, finishing, ability, physicality, or understanding of the game?
Well, I think positioning and understanding of the game are two very similar things. But as a striker, one thing that you need to have is instinct as to where the ball is going to be. So many times we see a center forward scoring a tap-in and people think that's just an easy thing. Well, you have to be there in order to be able to score the tap-in, and that part has to be instinctive. I don't know that this is something that you learn. You have to feel it, you have to smell it, you have to sense it where the ball is going to be. In terms of the other things that you can do as a striker is that don't fall in love with just thinking, oh, my job is scoring goals, and that's it. You can be useful to your team in doing other things that will benefit you in the end. And
winning free kicks.
Winning free kicks is part of it, but just participating in the whole game and not just being, I'm just here to score goals. I think if you understand how is it that you can impact the game without scoring goals, that'll make you a complete player.
You said ability.
Yes, finishing ability.
You didn't say finishing.
Okay. Finishing ability.
Very important part.
Right.
I'll tell you why. Because you can't. Your ability is your ability.
Yes.
Can't change that.
But your finishing ability you can change.
Yeah, and you misled the public.
Apologies for misleading the public.
Because you can work on your finishing.
What is he doing today with his glasses, pretending to be a teacher or whatever it could be? You know,
trying to be
what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him today? Yeah. Well, okay. We are not tackled from behind. Oh wow.
Frank, not only do my glasses need cleaned, but you're very blurry now, and I love it that way.
Rafinha apologised to Kouassi. Would you have done?
I'm happy to.
I would only have apologized to Kouassi had I been in an offside position.
Right.
Your instinct is to put the ball in the back of the net. You know that it's going in, but look, if you can get a goal, you're going to get a goal. That's what you do. You're in that position to do exactly that.
But you're not 100% sure that you're onside.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he had been all right, if he had been offside, it's a different conversation. It's a dumb play.
Everybody just apologises these days, don't they?
Well, some people don't.
He said sorry, and somebody's a bad game. They say sorry to the fans, and he does.
Yeah.
You haven't caught that.
Yeah, Camavinga apologised, didn't he, for getting sent off today to the fans.
Maybe to the fans.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe just try and pass the ball. That'd be a good start.
How about you just engage the brain?
Right. Final question, Ian. Who are your top 3 favourites to win the Champions League?
I'm going to go Inter 1, Paris Saint-Germain 2, Arsenal 3.
Wow.
Oh, you bastard!
Oh,
this
you hate
programme.
Barca, Ian?
This programme just hates Barca.
Yeah.
Why you don't like Dan Thomas? Why don't you like Dan Thomas? He wants Barcelona to win the Champions League. Come on.
Because he's bombing the public, Frank.
There you are. Seriously, and why don't you have Barca in your top 3?
I think they're going to get knocked out by Inter. There we are. If we're going predictions, and we always are on this programme, of course.
Yeah.
That's how I think it might play out.
Oh, okay. Frank, your top 3?
I'm up totally 100%, as Ali would say, with Paris Saint-Germain.
That's a long time.
Inter, because I think it's going to be the final for me would be Paris Saint-Germain, Inter for me, and Arsenal 3rd and Barcelona 4th.
Wow. Okay.
I agree with Ian.
Wow. Ali?
Barcelona is in the top 3. PSG is there as well, and if somebody's going to come from the darkness, if you will, it would be Inter, and it would be that dark.
Speaking of darkness, do you want to go to your top 3?
Huh?
Your top 3?
Hey, bundle of joy, me.
Yeah, right, go on then.
No.
What do you mean, no? You're bundle of joy?
No, I agree with whoever.
Okay, good.
Inter.
Inter.
You know, I've always been.
And I'm banging the Inter drum, yes. That's it.
What about the other 2? I feel...
that brings us to Frank, anyone
Real
else
Madrid.
you met? Anyone else you met you want to talk about?
Yes, I met the 2 twin brothers dancers. You know, I don't know if you know them. They're absolutely fantastic, and they don't say hi to Craig Burley. Whatever.
2 twin brother dancers. Well, there we are.
That's really enlightening.
Yeah, they are.
The audience.
They dance with. They dance with Beyonce. And
Oh, okay.
people who know Beyonce, they know them. Very
there we go.
nice guys.
Oh, good.
We just move
That's it.
Voilà.
We just
ESPN
move in
FC.
different circles.
ESPN FC returns tomorrow.
Is there even a name there? You're going to
Steve-
name drop.
Stevie will be there.
Oh, that's a
as
name
as
drop.
will Shaka. Not sure if they'll be dancing twins. We'll find out.